A Story About the House Part 2. After eating, Atai lay in the living room and watched TV. The tiredness of a busy day came up, and he fell asleep in the dark, between half dreaming and half waking up. Atai always felt as if something was constantly touching his face, soft. His face felt numb and itchy, which made Atai very uncomfortable. He thought it was a mosquito or something. He opened his eyes. There was nothing. His wife and son had gone back to the room to rest, and he was alone in the living room. Atai was a little suspicious, but he didn't think much about it. Muttered up, wanted to go to the toilet and then go back to the room to sleep. As soon as I entered the toilet, the small red dots on the wall, still slowly expanding, sleepy-eyed Atai didn't figure out what was going on. But the little red dots became more and more blood red, as if there was blood flowing out of the wall. At this time, the ceiling above the head suddenly clucked twice. It was like the sound of joints writhing. And Atai suddenly snorted, rubbing his eyes. And when he fixed his eyes, the wall was still snow white. Atai, who came to his senses, felt the chill in his heart. He thought of the strange feeling in the living room just now, and vaguely guessed that there must be an unknown secret behind this house. But the invited master clearly told himself that there was no dirt in the house. What the hell was going on? Atai stayed up all night. Despite this, Atai still thought on the bright side in his heart, and still felt that it might be a hallucination caused by his overwork. But slowly, not only himself, but also his son and wife began to feel weird. Sometimes when their family was chatting and drinking tea in the living room, they would always feel as if something had gently touched their backs, and the itch swept over, or the sudden feeling on their faces was tingling. And it was like an animal licking you. It always makes them feel cold in their hearts. But everyone thinks that it is their own fault and does not say it clearly. But Atai's son couldn't help it first. He complained and shouted, "I spent that money to buy this house. I really want to suspect that this house is not clean. Every night I sleep in the side room. I always feel that the ceiling seems to have eyes watching me, so that I can't sleep well every day and have nightmares. No, I always feel like I have a pug in the living room, always looking around me. Abba and Mommy, don't you feel it at all?" The son's words knocked heavily in Atai's heart, and he hurriedly said how he felt during this time. It turned out that his wife and son also felt it. But everyone didn't think much about it after hearing the master say that there was no dirt. It was not spoken. Atai began to feel that he should not deceive himself. If it was his own hallucination, could his son and wife have the same hallucination? At this time, Atai's son suddenly remembered a horror story he had read on the internet, about a student sitting in a position who always felt someone touch his neck, and later took a picture with a camera. And it was actually a pair of hanged people hanging next to him, devil's feet. Thinking of this, Atai's son felt a chill in his heart. Could it be that their house also lived a hanged ghost? But the three of them are sitting in different positions. But they all have that feeling, which is different from what is said on the internet. On this day, one of Atai's son's college classmates came to look for him in the store. And seeing that it was getting late, Atai kept his son's classmate to go to the house for a meal and spend the night before leaving. After the group closed the stalls, they walked home, and there were thousands of lights around them. And the floor where Atai was alone was dark. The classmate suddenly jokingly said to Atai's son, "Your house really looks like the construction of the undead. And it looks like a very personal face Warcrafts if you don't turn on the lights. If you don't say it, you will be yourself." And as soon as you say it, Atai took a closer look. It's really a bit like, on both sides of the house are two large windows. On the left is the son's bedroom, on the right is the kitchen. In the middle is the living room connected to a large balcony. When the lights are not turned on, the two windows look like black eye sockets. The middle living room out of the balcony, the crossing door is like a hole in the nose. And the white protruding balcony is like a big open mouth. It really looks like a skull head. The house is on the 7th floor, and the top floor and the 8th floor have not been sold, and it is also dark. Against the backdrop of a field of lights, it resembles a huge square humanoid. For the first time in his heart, Aditya felt that his black-lit house looked full of weirdness. To make a long story short, after returning home, the group had dinner and chatted in the living room. And Atai's son was straightforward and inadvertently told his classmates about the strange feeling in the house. And the two young people were both enthusiastic and stunned. The classmate immediately said, "I just brought a single-lens reflex camera with me. Take it out and take pictures around your house to see if there is any abnormality. I work in the newspaper. If there is an abnormality, I can also help you send it to the online society to find someone to solve. Do you dare?" Atai's son also slapped his thigh, and he just patted it. And the couple didn't know what their intentions were, so they had to shoot around the house. The next day, when the two young men washed out the photos. The first few photos were nothing unusual, but the one in the living room and the one on the toilet wall made them so frightened that they blew up chicken skin on the spot. In the living room, I saw a red shadow hanging over, twisting and cutting over the head where Atai usually sits. It was clearly a long, huge tongue sticking out of the ceiling. Atai's son couldn't help but feel extremely disgusted and frightened when he thought of the usual tinkling sensation, which was actually a tongue. And the wall of the toilet, the white wall, is actually a piece of blood red. This is the same situation that Atai saw in the obscurity that night. The classmates shouted repeatedly, "You must have had a murder or something in this house. Call the police, there must be something in the wall." The two of them showed the photo to Atai, and Atai and his wife were also scared half to death. He immediately reported to the village security team to come and check, and chiseled the wall of the toilet, but strangely, there were no corpses inside something like that. But the crowd was in an uproar. Another thing came to the surface. I saw that in the wall, except for the bricks. The places that should have been reinforced were replaced by bamboos. It is estimated that if the house is really inhabited by some shaking, it will definitely collapse soon, and this matter was later reported to the Urban Renewal Bureau, causing an uproar. And the previous developer also promised to tear down the house and rebuild it. It was reported on the internet the year before last. But the specific location was changed to a certain community. The real thing is in Shashong. Seeing this, do you understand? In fact, everything is weird. But the house where it is located may have become an earthbound spirit due to some chance. But it did not harm people, but constantly made some movements through his small spiritual power, so that the people who live in it were alert and avoided a great disaster. Convinced that this was the blessing of his life, Atai resolutely bought the rebuilt house. Since then, it has been uneventful. Sometimes, when you're home alone, do you hear or feel something on your back or face?
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and put notification on to watch more videos. If you have similar experience, please comment and let me know your experience.